This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com. And today is my special guest returning for a second time, none other than Portland wrestling legend, and he's wrestled in all sorts of territories, the brother of the legendary Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, Bret Sawyer. How are you doing today, sir?
Couldn't be doing better. Doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, doing excellent. Just came back from the gym.
Oh, that's good.
How was your?
Real good.
Yeah, now that I'm back, I can have some THC.
Yeah, I feel you. I can't live without it. It seems like, but yeah, I like my THC. That's for sure.
Did you do anything for the holidays?
Yeah, went to the. We did a lot of shit. Went to a couple parties and a big party for the company in West Virginia. Some a guy named Chuck invited us, and we had a blast. Definitely.
Do you have any kids or anything?
I got a son, 35, and a daughter, 30, Brittany and Bret Sawyer Jr.
Did they ever have any interest in getting into wrestling?
Well, not really. My daughter was going to get in it, but that didn't happen. My son, he's into rap, all that crazy stuff. I can't stand. But yeah, my son, I just didn't want him to get in wrestling. There's a lot of politics in it, and I loved everything I did, but I still wish I'd have went to the baseball route, but too late now. But I made the best out of it.
Did you do amateur wrestling as well before pro wrestling?
Sure did. Coach Malger at Dixie Hollins. Me and my brother was there, and yeah, he was ninth grader pinning 12th graders in 30 seconds. Buzz, and that way the wrestling coach, when Buzz was always a year ahead of me, and they'd always make me wrestle 10th graders and 11th graders when I was in ninth grade. I was like, that's crazy. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do. What
weight class were you?
129. Then I wrestled 138 and 140. And that was about it in high school. When I went to Oregon, I was about 180. Then I gained about 20 pounds out there. Little cheating, but I won't get into that.
So you went straight from high school to pro wrestling?
Well, I went from high school to I did amateur wrestling. Yeah, I walked right into pro wrestling. I refereed for 6 months, and after I got done refereeing, I learned a lot watching guys call high spots and just learning from all the older wrestlers, and a lot of them helped me tremendously.
Who trained you for pro wrestling?
Buzz, Ricky Steamboat, Matt Bourne. A lot of Buzz and Matt Bourne. Steamboat just came down because he's Charlotte. He was his little brother. I went to school with in Dixie Hollins, and we were pretty tight too. But a lot of guys get trained by people that don't even have a 2-year push. It's crazy. You got to be careful who you sign up with. Some guys want to take all your money and know you ain't going to make it. You can tell after 3 months if somebody's going to make it in pro wrestling or not. That's for damn sure.
How was Matt Bourne to train with? You always hear the stories. He was a pretty wild man.
Oh, well, he was a great guy. He just partied a little too much. He's the one that came out with Doink the Clown. Me and him went to Venezuela, and we wrestled as two clowns. And that was pretty interesting. He OD'd it in 2014 from a drug overdose. His dad was a pro wrestler, and he was a great guy, but his son died before his dad did. A lot of deaths in pro wrestling, and I don't know why.
Yeah, you've made it pretty long for a wrestler, but you got out of the business young.
Do what now?
I said you've made it pretty old for a pro wrestler, but I guess you got out of the business pretty young.
Yeah, not young enough. That's for sure.
Do you have a lot of injuries that are nagging?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of injuries. It comes with the sport, really. And so many people try to sue promoters and Vince and people that's just got tons of money, and you ain't going to get away with that, because you're going to get hurt in pro wrestling. I don't care how good you are, or you pay the dues. And I regret always cutting my head. That's the craziest shit I ever did, but it is what it is.
There's a fan on here that wants to know if you have any Rowdy Roddy Piper stories from Portland.
Oh, I got a great one. When I first met Roddy, well, he knew my brother real good, but he came to Oregon for 3 weeks, and I just met him, and I drank then, and I had a beer, and I spilled it, and I got real apologetic, and he's like, "Hey, don't worry about that, hack. Fuck it." He's like, he poured a beer all over the dashboard, and I was like, "Are you crazy?" He goes, "It's a rent-a-car." Yeah, Roddy was crazier than Buzz was, I think. He was one hell of a guy. I can tell you what, he told you what was on his mind. Yeah, he was very blunt, and I like a guy like that. Beating around the bush, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, especially in the wrestling industry, that's hard to find.
And he was a down-to-earth, such an honest guy, and such a great guy. Portland, Oregon, he got over more than Flair got. I can tell you that. Roddy was over in his hometown big time, and Don Owens loved him. And Don didn't like a lot of wrestlers. I got along with him great, but a lot of guys were older. And like me and The Rock's dad tagged out there in Oregon, and he taught me a lot. And he passed away about 1.5 years ago. Great guy, Rocky Johnson, The Rock's dad. I knew Rock when he was 4 years old, running around in North Carolina, running around the motels and stuff. He was always running somewhere, but he got a hell of a push and ran with it. And then Vince hooked him up some TV shows, and the rest is history.
Yeah, he's the most successful wrestler ever.
$40 million a year.
Yeah.
40 million. Yep. He sure is. He's accomplished more than Hogan. That's for sure. Hogan's accomplished a lot. You can't take nothing from him. Nobody can, really. If they do, they're just an idiot. He's over like $1 million. He's just got to drop away. You know what I mean? He's got a great gimmick, and his new wife, she's a lawyer. So she does all now. When Hogan shows up for an event, it's been like this for the last 2 years. He gets $1 million each time he shows up, just because of his new wife. She's got a nice law firm in Florida, and she makes sure when he works for Vince, every time he gets that TV on him, he goes to TV, he gets $1 million. So. I don't think Rox did that yet, but that's good for Hogan.
David wants to know, what are your thoughts on Dusty Rhodes?
Well, me and Dusty, I'll tell you an old story. I think I told you I trained his son. Me and Steve Kern trained Dustin, because Dusty didn't want him to play or go into pro wrestling, because he wanted him to play football. Well, Dusty couldn't make the grades. He's making F's in college, and he wasn't passing. And he came to me and Steve, so we didn't think nothing of it, and we trained him, but he didn't want us to tell his dad. So we trained him. His dad was the booker in Florida at the time, and I was going as Bret Sawyer. And well, Dusty, he changed that to the Bubblegum Kid because I trained his son. He got pissed off, and then he wanted his son in the business. I don't know why he got pissed at me and Steve for, but he did. And he gave me a stupid gimmick, which I tried to make the best out of it. But the Bubblegum Kid, that was sort of hard. But I just grinned and kept going. I used it for about 1.5 years, and then I left Florida. But, yeah, Dusty, I think he was a great booker. I think he did what he had to do, you know. Him and Buzz, they butted heads a few times, but I mean, if promoters like Dusty, he was pretty down to earth, and he was a great booker and a great promoter. It's like a lot of people don't know about Mike Graham and Eddie Graham. Eddie Graham was Mike's dad, and we would always wrestle at the Sportatorium in Tampa. Well, when his dad didn't show up one day, he got arrested because he embezzled millions of dollars from a foundation in Florida that was for kids. And he tried to get a loan from his son. His son had a Mercedes and all kinds of cars, and he had that Mercedes trimmed in gold. But he wouldn't give his dad a loan, so his dad decided to go to the Sportatorium and blow his head off, and he did it. He went down, he blew his head off once. He didn't die. He picked the gun up and shot it the second time, and he died. The next year, the next 2 years, Mike's son went with his dad and mom. He ended up shooting himself. And after he shot himself, his dad shot himself in the brain. Mike shot himself. And they all three shot themselves in the head and died. Just crazy. It was Florida. That's why Florida wrestling slowed down a bit when Eddie Graham wasn't throwing money in it. And but what he was doing wasn't right. So I reckon that's why he blew his head off. But and he dropped the gun the first time and had to do it. It took him 2 times to kill himself. Then his grandson did it. And then his son did it. It's crazy.
Do you think do you think Eddie was involved in that type of stuff for longer?
Yeah, well, they said he went to jail for. Well, he would have went to jail for it if he hadn't killed himself. But yeah, he was getting ready to go to prison. That's why he was asking his son for a loan. And I reckon Mike Graham didn't want to give it up. It's pretty sad not to try to save your dad's life. I know I'd have gave my dad everything I had. I mean, that's crazy. Money changes a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Someone wants to know, what was your favorite and least favorite area to work in?
Oregon, definitely. And Japan. I love Japan. I loved West Virginia. I loved Florida. I respected all their states, but I liked West Virginia, Florida, Atlanta, North Carolina. So, fans, period. I'd do anything for, well, just about anything.
What was your least favorite?
And who was my least favorite?
Yeah, your least favorite promotion or promoter to work for.
Okay, well, I know you like Bill Watts, but I didn't get along with him too good. When he paid Buzz $3,000 and gave me $1,500, and we did the same thing, I didn't like him a lot, and I walked out on him. And I don't know. I got along good with Ted Turner. I got along with Dusty. We had a couple ups and downs, but when you get in this business, I broke in it in 79. When you do get in pro wrestling, you do what you can do. And I was trained by some of the best legends ever. So, and I listened to everything they told me. I'm glad I didn't have to go to some wrestling school where that guy never did nothing. But you gotta, I got over 100 videos I counted today on YouTube, and I'm glad to just have that, tell you the truth. I was shocked when I found so many of them, but I did wrestle for 35 years, so
Yeah.
should have been more than that.
Scott wants to know if you have any memories of defeating the Road Warriors for the national titles at the Canton Civic Center.
Yes, I love that. That was a high you can't buy. Some of my THC ain't that good, but you know, I enjoyed it. I can't say enough. I just God's been good to me. I had a hell of a push. I had all kinds of pushes. I was pretty 80% of the time I was getting a push, and you know, the pencil does a lot of talking, and it uses that eraser. So I was always around bookers, and I always, it's common sense. You stay tight with them and be loyal to them. They'll be loyal right back to you. But a lot of politics in pro wrestling. You could be the best athlete in the world, and if you don't, they don't want you in the clique, you ain't getting in. A lot of guys know that. You know, you get right in, you got to know somebody in there. That's for sure. Now, I don't know about nowadays, but it's changed so much. It's crazy.
Yeah, nowadays it's even more political, I think.
See, it's just sad. That's pathetic. Yeah.
There's a lot less places to work, too.
Yeah, you got that right. But, you know, there's a lot of good promoters. Don Owens, to me, in Japan, Japan never, ever complained a bit. They paid big money out. You go over there 5 weeks, some guys was coming home with 100 grand, 150, 80, I mean, 80,000. And you got to watch, you can only bring $9,999 through customs. So me and Buzz started taping it on each other. But then before he died, they had dogs, and that didn't get over too good. We got popped once. But yeah, you got to wire that money home. Yeah.
Maria wants to know, who was your toughest opponent?
Flair, for sure. He was a hell of an athlete. We did an hour Broadway in Portland, Oregon, and Vancouver, Washington, Seattle, Washington, Tacoma, all up in Washington. But yeah, doing an hour Broadways with Flair, that was he didn't run out of gas. I can tell you that, and neither did I. But a lot of the older guys, the jealousy sort of stuck out like a sore thumb because I was a lot younger than everybody, really. So yeah, I enjoyed all that and more.
Did you ever get the chance to go out partying with Rick?
Yeah, I sure did, in West Virginia, and that was my hometown, and I hadn't been back in a while, but yeah, Flair would pay $1,000 to keep the bars open. I mean, sometimes he'd pay $2,000, and he kept them open till about 4 in the morning. And it was just crazy how these people would just open up the bar. In any state we went in, he always did it. And I drank a lot then. I ain't had a drink in 31 years now. So I don't miss alcohol a bit, but Flair, he's got a big I think it's Tucky's life over, because they told him if he kept drinking, and this was about 1.5 years ago after Vince paid his taxes, because he's getting ready to go to jail for that. And I think Vince helped him out, and they got into a big fight, I heard. So who knows what happened. Time the story gets to you, it'll grow.
Yeah. Kenneth wants to know, what made you retire from the ring?
I had a heart attack at 50, and then I wrestled about 4 years after that, and just my heart like last time I was on your show, my face was all swollen up from blood pressure medicine. And if you noticed, but you know, I just had to slow down, and I'd been in the fast lane way too long. That's for sure.
David wants to know if you have any Billy Jack Haynes stories. He's kind of disappeared lately.
Oh yeah, I have. I had to. Well, I used to like Billy Jack, and I'll tell you, he came to Oregon. I came to Oregon in 1980, and I didn't want to go to Atlantic. My Buzz was the booker, but I was like, well, I'm going to make my own name. I don't want people thinking I'm hanging on my brother's coattail, which a lot of them already thought that. So I said, I'm going to Oregon, and I'll be by myself. He says, yeah, that'd be a good thing. We'll keep in touch. And we did every day just about. And I don't know. I just love Portland, Oregon tremendously. It was, I had to prove myself, and I did, I feel, because when I did more out there and I did all over the world. And 30 years later, I mean, it's just crazy. But, you know, you get your ups and downs, and I've been to a lot of deaths in my life. Lost all my family except one brother, and he's not doing good. But you keep moving.
Did you know Art Barr that well?
I knew Art Barr real good. I didn't know him real good. I got to know him. He was okay. I mean, he had problems with egos and stuff like that. And I look back, and like Billy Jack Haynes, oh my God, I trained him, and somebody else trained me too, but I did the major training, and he turned on me. He started calling, like he's telling everybody Vince McMahon sent drugs to your motel room and steroids. I can tell you, Vince McMahon never worked for him just because Buzz beat his ass. But I can tell you, he was not as bad guy as people make him out to be, even though he was an asshole. But hell, the money he made, you can be an asshole when you make billions of dollars and have 20 lawyers. I mean, that's just, but Billy Haynes, he went out and he got a breakthrough Vince, $1 million a year or something. And then he screwed that up 2 years down the road. And then he went against Vince, which when you got the pull and the leverage that Vince McMahon's got, that's the last guy you want to be screwing with. And Billy Haynes, I heard him whining on Vince gave me steroids, and the Billy Jack was selling steroids in Portland, Oregon. I mean, he was so humble at first, and then as soon as he got a break, boy, that cockiness kicked right in. Just like my brother told me when I was training, oh, don't ever be cocky because you'll pay for it. And my brother, I puked in every sack in every corner that day. And Billy Haynes, he just irritated the shit out of me because he just knocked the business after he'd gotten a 4-year run, and it wasn't even 4 years. It was a little over 2, I think. But I reckon he did jobs for a while, and his career, it took a dump, and it's just like a spiral plane crashing. There's no saving it. And anytime you see him on YouTube or on TV or at wrestling show, he's knocking pro wrestling promoters, wrestlers, and how sad everybody robbed him and all this bullshit. He'd spent his money wrong. He was a single guy. He stayed single. That makes me a little weary about him being bisexual, but I don't know nothing about it. But he just wasn't right. Steroids got to his head, I think, really. Yeah.
Do you believe his stories that he was
they were all bullshit. Oh, man. And then they have him being a cocaine dealer. Well, first of all, you're not promoting that, but he did. That's somebody that tell you how many brain cells he's got. And second of all, why would you go around telling? I mean, anybody that worked for Vince knows he wasn't sending no drugs to your damn motel room. He wasn't sending steroids. Billy Jack Haynes was just trying to get back at him, and all he did was cut his own throat. And I reckon he realizes that now. But there's never going to be a settlement in that. Vince would have already settled when he settled because they didn't want him to have a pro football team, and now he's got one. The only reason he got it is because he sold his business to who was that? You know who did he sell that? That big company, what is it? Walt Disney World. He sold out to Walt Disney World, and he got his football team because he paid all himself, but not on that one that Billy Jack's getting. I think it's like 80 wrestlers. It's in that lawsuit with Billy Jack Haynes, and they're going to be waiting. They'll probably die before they see money.
Yeah, I think it was thrown out of court twice, so I think it's pretty much over now.
Oh, was it? Okay, I didn't even know that.
It was just recently thrown out.
Yeah, that's all lie. Say that again.
Oh, I was just saying that last year it was thrown out for the second time.
Yeah, well, it should be. It should. I mean, it's just crazy. All the wrestlers, nobody ever got steroids sent to their motel rooms and drugs and painkillers like he made Vince sound. And that's probably why Vince stuck it up. He's, you know what, because he got tired of hearing him cry all the time. He was complaining about his injuries. I mean, you're not playing a ballet. You're doing pro wrestling. You should expect to get hurt. Sometimes I'm trying new moves and stuff. You're going to get hurt no matter what. Yeah.
Rick Brooks wants to know, what was the first territory that you and Buzz tagged in together?
Well, we tagged in Atlanta, Georgia. That's when we beat the Road Warriors. First tag team to ever beat them. Yeah, that's when I turned Buzz babyface. My mother, they flew my mother in, Gypsy, and she hadn't seen my brother in a couple years, so that was good. And it got over with the public eye, and they knew 80% of the people didn't know me and Buzz were brothers, but 20% did. And we sold out a lot of places with the Road Warriors, and made a lot of money in that 2 years, paid a lot of dues in that 2 years, broke a few bones with the Road Warriors because they're stiff as hell. They're about as stiff as Buzz. So that was a nightmare, but I lived through it.
How did you get along with the Road Warriors outside of the ring?
Great. You know, I could be honest with them because I'd tell them they did break my wrist. They didn't break my wrist. I mean, I really couldn't remember. We were so busy, and we never had days off like they do now. If you had to drive 300 miles, they'd make you drive, but anything over that, you'd fly. So, yeah, life's been good.
Mike wants to know if you could give a Matt Bourne story.
Well, what kind of stories you want to hear? I know Matt real good. I knew him real good. I hope he rests in peace. He was a great guy. He's like Buzz. He was a little cocky. I mean, they was telling me how not to be cocky, but I mean, they did have a lot of experience on me. So I listened to it, but I could see they wasn't practicing what they was preaching. That's for sure.
Did you ever see him in one of his barroom fights?
Oh, yeah. Matt was crazy. He gets 6 beers in him. He's ready to fight. And, you know, I ain't going to lie. I was about the same. But that's why I haven't had a drink in 31 years, and I don't miss it a bit.
What made you stop drinking? Was there one particular incident?
Just my wife. Yeah. She said she'd leave, and I said, well, I quit. And I did.
James wants to know if any wrestlers ever tried to shoot on you in the ring.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dennis, he tried it. I can't think of his last name. He's a real cocky guy. I beat his ass in Portland, Oregon. Yeah, a couple of them tried to shoot on me, but they knew I was an amateur wrestler. They wouldn't have did it, so they didn't get too far. Hmm. I've had a few brawls. Yeah, I got in a fight with Matt when I met him. Yeah, so him and Buzz tagged for a couple years, and Matt, he's went through a big divorce and a dirty divorce, but I I don't know. Matt was a great guy. He just did too many drugs and drank on top of it, and that right there is what kills all these guys. The drinking and putting narcotics in your system on top of alcohol, on top of weed, on top of you name it. I mean, in the 80s, it was crazy. Piper and Buzz in a room and doing cocaine. Yeah, they was wild as hell.
What's the most cocaine you ever saw Buzz do in a day?
Yeah, they was they liked their coke in the 80s, and I see guys get on here and they say, "Oh, I don't coke." I'm shit. Everybody told you they didn't. I'd almost bet 80% of them did, because that's just the way it was in the dressing room. There was very few people that didn't, and I would have known. I can tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah, fun days back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody wants to know if you have any ring rat stories. I know your wife's in the room.
Well, a ring rat story. Nah. A ring rat story.
Or
That's got to be arrested.
Did you witness any wrestlers? Were there any wrestlers that were like pretty crazy with the ring rats more than others?
Oh yeah, Matt Bourne was. Oh, big time. Yeah. He that's probably why he had a dirty divorce. Yeah, he was cheating on his wife. I couldn't lie for him because I didn't like him that much. Like I told you, as soon as I met him, I got in a fight with him because he was trying me. And Buzz broke that up.
Steven wants to know, who is your favorite opponent to wrestle?
Who's my what?
Favorite opponent to wrestle?
To wrestle. Jake the Snake was good. He could do good high spots. I like doing high spots when I wrestled. I didn't like just punching and kicking. And I like telling a story. A lot of guys don't do that, but a lot of guys with knowledge does do it, and it gets over well, and you have a much better match. I like Jake. I liked working with Flair. I liked Road Warriors. They were stiff as hell, but we had some good matches. We trained them when they came in, me and Buzz and Ole Anderson. And because when they got to Atlanta, they couldn't tie their boots. And ever who taught him, I can tell you, boy, they should have got it for free because he didn't know shit from Shinola. But they caught on quick, and we spent some time with them. And Buzz was booking a little bit for about 2 years there, and that's when we had that run with him. And he just turned babyface. And he was helping Ole, and him and Ole both were booking, and they got along good. Ole was the main booker and had the last call on a lot of it, but Buzz would change some, and sometimes Ole would change it. So it worked out. You got to be flexible, and a booker, it's a hard job to have. That's for sure.
How did you get along with Ole?
I got along with Ole. He gave me the Brett Wayne push. So ever since I used that name, me and Ole he'd always put me over. And I came in from Oregon, and then he gave me a good push. And then I tagged with my brother for a couple years. And he died in 1992, February the 7th. Way too young.
What was the exact cause of his death? Was it just an overdose?
Drug overdose, steroids and cocaine blew his heart up. It was over 30 years ago. Yeah, stupid as hell. A lot of guys do it. I mean, it's sad as hell to go through there and see that list and read that list, because I knew a lot of those guys and they're all dead. It's just, I feel like I cheated death. For sure.
Rob wants to know if you have any memories of world-class championship wrestling.
Yeah, not a lot, but that's with who's that with?
Devon Eriks.
Devon. Yeah, I only worked for him a couple times with Buzz, and Buzz had worked for him before me and him went in there. Didn't win, him went in there, and we worked with them, and God, they died left and right, back to back, drug overdoses and everything else you can think of. What a they had a curse on their family that was out of this world. Yeah. I remember in 82, their little brother shot himself. That's how it all started.
Jonas wants to know your thoughts on Ricky Steamboat and Ken Shamrock.
Well, Shamrock, me and my brother was training in California. And who was the other one?
Ricky Steamboat.
Shamrock. Steamboat. Oh, well, Steamboat, he's a great guy. Always has been. He's from St. Petersburg, Florida. And his brother, Victor, his little brother, that's who I was good friends with. Victor, he was Rick Steamboat's little brother. But, and what's his name? The Ultimate Fighter, he trained at Buzz's gym. I was living in Atlanta, and I had my own school, but I would fly back and forth and help Buzz. He was a little busier, and that's how I met him. And he came out there and trained to be a pro wrestler. Ken Shamrock, he's one tough cookie, I can tell you that.
Were you around when, looks like we may have lost him for a second. And if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And I hope that Bret will jump back on here, because there was a lot more fan questions that I wanted to ask. But if not, we'll have him back on another time. Yeah, I'm just noticing now there's like at least 20 more fan questions. But I think he might be gone for the night. So follow us. This also streamed on Facebook at the Hannibal TV. Make sure you like our Facebook page. You can watch these streams. And the streams are ad-free on Facebook. And follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV. Have a great night.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe